my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Throwing out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, screenshots, redact this. I was young, I was dumb, I was scrolling on the type, way too much, hit sand, heart swollen. Now I keep receipts like a lawyer with a folder. Blur that face, can't risky, get mad with the throwing out page check. Got tails, I ain't playing. In my name pop up, that's a tight boat name. Who's bad in the big man, ain't no strange. That's a brand new ring. Brand heart swollen. Now keep receipts like a lawyer with a folder. Blur that face, can't risky, get mad with the throwing out page check. Got tails, I ain't just smiling. That's a tight boat name. Who's bad in the big man. If it looks too wild on the axis, I ain't like right now. Check the if the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, if it hit too close, that's a rumor I heard. If the dateline match, that's a clerical error. If the outfit match, that's a popular shirt. If the tattoo match, that's a stock photo search. I'm allergic to questions calling the lights. I just said at the end.
Come on, Cliff. Welcome to the show.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good.
I just keep hearing like cool music, so I just don't hear it.
That's okay. It takes a moment. I don't know why the fade is looping on itself. I'm trying to figure that out right now.
All good.
Come on, Cliff. Welcome to the show.
Hello, sir. How are you? I just keep hearing like cool music, so I just don't hear it.
That's okay. It takes a moment. I don't know why the fade is looping on itself. I'm trying to figure that out right now.
All good.
Come on, Cliff. Welcome to the show.
Hello, sir. How are you?
It's just looping back on itself. It's good. Yeah. That's okay. It takes a moment. I don't know why. Now I can hear you and you can hear me, and there we go, and we're not looping back on each other. There we go. I'm ready to start in a second.
Yeah.
Here we go.
If they ask, I forgot it. You ain't seen none. We ain't saying none. Redact this. Black bar on my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Blur the face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. I was young, I was dumb, I was scrolling. Type way too much, hit saying heart swollen. Now I keep receipts like a lawyer with a folder. But anything risky get hit with the toner. Whole group chat, got tails, I ain't claiming my name pop up. That's a typo name. Who's that in the pic? Man, the angle's strange. That's a random stranger with a very close face. I'm the stand of my friends. I plead don't recall if they ask for the tape. It's a missing file if they pull up the clip. That's deeper fake style if they show me the proof. I just smile like redact this. Black bar on my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Blur the face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click. If it hit too close, that's a rumor I heard. If the dayline match, it's a clerical error. If the outfit match, it's a pirate shirt. If the tattoo match, it's a stock photo search. I'm allergic to questions. Cough in the light, I just edit the ending. Soften the bite. Take the worst 3 parts of the night and slice like and we were nice. Every ex got a chapter I seal. Every pet's got a gap in the reel. I ain't lying, I'm curating the reveal. Just trimming little bits of the raw. Real deal. Cough in the light, I just saw you didn't if you always the bite. Take a walk, I'm living the night. I'll swipe that name out, crop that nice. Every ex got a chapter I seal. Every pet's got a gap in the reel. I ain't lying, I'm curating the reveal. Just trim a little bit.
All right, I think there shouldn't be a loop back now. See if that fades and how long it takes to fade out.
I got time.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwiide. It's Monday mornings, and all right, I think. See, I don't know where that loop's coming from. Back now. What in the world? Okay, there's got to be. I know what it is. Takes to fade out.
I got time.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwiide. It's Monday mornings, and figures out monitor. I think. See, I don't know where that loop's coming from. Back now. What in the world? Okay, there's got to be. I know what it is. How many windows do I possibly have open that could possibly be haunting me in the background on here? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's like, this is what happens when I go away for a day.
Is it my fault? I'm trying to make sure I have everything closed. I'm pretty sure I don't have more than one
I don't think
window
so.
open.
No. Hold on. How many windows do I possibly have open that could possibly be haunting me in the background? Yeah, I muted myself to see if that was where the loop was coming from. I like it. It's very... Yeah.
Is it my fault? I'm trying to make sure I have everything closed. But, I don't know if we're going to be able to have a good conversation.
I don't think so. I know what it is. I figured it out. I know what it is. It was, yeah, we're solved. We got it. It's okay. It was a ghost window of Instagram that was up because I have to put us in there, and you can hear me just fine now. We're all good.
No, you're perfect.
Yeah.
I've had that happen where with
Totally.
StreamYard, where there was a second StreamYard window open somewhere, and it's like crazy.
Bastard. Right, and I'm also fadey. 1 second, so that'll
But
that'll
you've
have
got
to
cool
remedy.
facial hair since the last time I saw it.
That's
So I
right.
like
Yeah.
that.
And by the way, let me bring in Cliff Schecter because while I've been spot checking all this bizarreness in the background. Let's see. This will be in here, and I will add you there, and add this here, and add this here, and then there's Cliff. Hey, look at that! It works.
I'm here.
Welcome to the show,
Sweet.
everybody. It's me and it's Cliff Schecter, and he's in the middle of snow and all kinds of coldness. I was just in
And
Chicago.
it's freezing as all hell here.
Yeah.
I'm no longer. I was on Stephanie's show and I couldn't curse, so going straight
Yeah,
from Stephanie
fuck
Miller
that.
into Hal Sparks' show is quite an experience. They say hi, by the way,
Aw.
Chris and Stephanie and the gang. But yeah, now I can say fuck, so that's good.
You
I think
most certainly can.
Well, I just did. So
Yeah. I mean, it'd be too late anyways. And there's a lot to
really
say
would.
fuck about. I will say,
Yeah.
I don't know how much we could possibly, we're not going to run out of anything to talk about. That's for damn sure this morning. But I will say,
I wish we could. But
yeah, right, yeah. Wouldn't
You'll
I?
have committed 2 new crimes by the time the show's over.
That's right. Yeah. Every time we think we're on top of the latest bout of crimes, yeah, not so much.
No.
But what I will say is besides all that, like I want to make something abundantly clear right now that annoys me as a nitpicker, and I'm sure you saw this as well. That on Friday night, in a classic late night drop of documents,
Of course.
the prevailing story is there are 6 million files, and the Trump administration released half of them. 3 million, right? Okay. No. 3 million pages is not half of 6 million files. And
Yeah,
here's
pages and files. It's
are-
like they're trying to, again, the safest thing. Just assume they're lying because they lie about everything.
Oh
And
my
you'll
God.
Find yourself, you'll be in the safest place.
Yeah, so let me point this out. The Affordable Care Act is one file. It is 3,227 pages. If you
And there's
had
files out there that are 12 pages.
That's right.
Like one file does not equal another file.
Right.
I know
and
it's
and
weird,
all these
but that's
files
the way it works.
are not even 2 pages. Like there's the half and half aspect of this, and the way that the story has floated is that they released half of them, and then there's another half. And now it's bad enough that it sounds like they're hiding 3 million more pages, but they're not. They're hiding umpteen million more pages. We have
course.
no idea. Images, video, all kinds of stuff.
And
And-
yet, even with that, the sick things, like truly repulsively, disgustingly sick things that were in this file,
Yeah.
I mean, if we were a functioning country right now, this person would not only not be president, this person would go to alligator Alcatraz for the rest of his life.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean the place is designed for people like him. And the ironic part is that if the Trump administration is setting any kind of prologue of the future in going after Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Obama, Comey, any members of the cabinet, and all that kind of stuff, what they are doing accidentally is going against their own precedent that protects them from prosecution in the future.
Right.
So were we to achieve power again, and we will, I believe, they're going to be up against the fact that they have set a legal precedent that, yeah, okay, if you can go after Comey, we can go after Patel. If you can go after Wray, we can go after Patel. If you can go after, Merrick Garland for creating I don't know, an independent counsel that we didn't like or whatever, we can go after Pam Bondi for the same
What was
reason.
ludicrous though?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to go into
Please.
like Merrick. I'm not going to waste time going off on Merrick Garland, but I'm just going to make a simple point, which is there was an argument to be made, that the speech and debate clause protected certain Republican members of Congress who engaged clearly in sedition, and you'd have to prove in court, like they were meeting at the Willard Hotel, they were doing these things to help Trump. There is the ridiculous at that decision, and the immunity decision hadn't been handed down, which is insanely anti-constitutional against everything we've ever believed. But before that, we were following the opinion literally of like a special counsel of the Justice Department under Richard frickin' Nixon, who said you can't prosecute presidents while they're president. That exists nowhere in the Constitution.
Right.
And the fact that we respected a memo written by some jackass who served under Nixon was ridiculous. So you had all that. But even with all of that, there was nothing in the speech and debate clause or that asshole's opinion that protected Merrick Garland from prosecuting Kash Patel, who was involved, from prosecuting Ginny Thomas, who was involved, and a whole bunch of other conspirators who were neither members of the Congress nor were they president of the United States. And for whatever reasons, one will have to ask him and others. We did not bother to do that. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we can prosecute them. We don't even need this precedent to prosecute them. But you're right. Now they've undone any other precedent. And now to me, what I was talking about on Steph's show, and I feel like is the most important issue we have to make sure that we are talking about constantly, is making sure that there is actually a free and fair election for the midterm. This is not conspiracy. They literally demanded voter rolls from Minnesota and said they would leave if they got them. They've busted into Fulton County with Tulsi Gabbard, who's the DNI, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
Again,
except for them trying to get her out of town, by the way, because apparently the DNI
just to get rid of her stench. But like the point is that they know enough to know. We just saw it in Texas, where a seat they had won consistently by 17 points. We just won by 14, a state Senate race in a special election this weekend. They're going to get fucking killed if there's an honest election. I mean, fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they know it.
And they know it. And so we have to take that information. And this is why this will be probably the issue I will talk most about, whether it's cybersecurity, national security, retired generals. I'm sorry. I don't want ex-military involved in politics any more than anybody else, but this is that break glass in case of emergency moment. We need people to come out. We need Democratic leaders. We need policy thinkers. We need literally everybody to come out with and meet and talk and discuss and come up with the ways that we are going to prevent these people from stealing this election, because they absolutely will.
Yeah, they'll do everything they possibly can. And I do think they have a couple things going against them. And I brought this up repeatedly in my travels. And I'm sure you've seen this in arguably, quote unquote, red district, Ohio, is that there are a shit ton of maggots.
I'm in a lean blue district, but I've been to much of it.
Yeah, you're close enough to northern Kentucky and all that general area where you'll see a mix of a bunch of stuff. Because there's huge liberal enclave in Louisville. There's a huge liberal enclave certainly in Lexington in
Well, in
Kentucky.
Cincinnati, my part of it is very liberal.
Yes, right.
It's like the part I live in is almost New York City, San Fran, whatever liberal.
Yeah,
So we've got a Democratic congressman, and they've tried to, of course, redistrict somewhat to make his district harder. But Greg Lansman, we're going to make sure we keep him.
right.
So I'm just making the point that I'm lucky, but yes, I spent plenty of time in Red District, Ohio, and
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
Right. Well, and also you'll notice that a bunch of those folks think that Real ID is a UN plot to track everything they do.
Yeah,
Let's not
yeah.
forget that, like, they're up against some other factors that I don't think get played, into this. Is that their own voter ID push is running headlong into this push for a more sound, e-verifiable kind of ID that's been working through its way through the system for a long time. And in the same way we used to have, you could write your own driver's license in the 1950s, and sign your own
The
name
good
to
old
it.
days.
Right. And then eventually, because of Ted Bundy, you had to have your picture on it. And then after a while, if you looked vaguely, if somebody had bad eyesight, you had to have something else. So your thumbprint would be like California has a thumbprint that goes by it. It's got a,
Right.
a strip on the back. They are panicked about the idea of having this damn thing. And
Well, that's the thing.
they're going to need
is
it to vote.
interestingly, it's interesting they have the right, the far right, but also the far right that is trying to obviously take advantage of people, fool people, lie. I mean, what they do, right, is that they have weaved the very conspiracies that now are having
Yeah.
people not trust. You bring up Real ID. Epstein is another one. They talked about it nonstop, and it turns out, oh, what a shocker. Donald Trump's everywhere in there. Elon
Right.
Musk said he never went to the island. Oh, really? Elon Musk lied like he does every day on X. What a
to go to
shocker.
the island.
Yes, begged,
Look,
right.
for
Was
the
it, please,
and the wildest night. That will be the thing. Yeah.
Mhm. And again, there clearly are other issues besides that. The classic issue, is when these guys, even the NRA, rebuked them when they start attacking a guy for having a gun. I personally don't believe there should be concealed carry, but you know what? They made it the law of the land that this guy can carry a gun. He was exercising his legal right, and they
Yep.
pulled the gun away and they shot him to death. And that has not gone down well with gun owners. So I mean, they've because they're coming to get your guns. Obama wants your guns. It turns out
Right.
no, it's Trump's thugs who want your guns. So in the end, there's those, and there's plenty of others I'm not even thinking about. Certain economic conspiracies too, which play right into exactly what Musk and Trump and all of them are doing, which is essentially trying to confiscate every sort of sector of our democracy for themselves, while they screw everyone else. And so it's gonna.
Yeah.
You're right. It's gonna harm them in serious ways among their own base. And we're lucky that you brought up Kentucky. In Tom Massey, finally somebody who's actually speaking about these things while they're still in Congress, as opposed to so many Republicans waiting until they retire and then they have so much to say. And it's like, well, great. I mean, I'm glad to have you aboard, but you weren't doing it while you were there. Massey's
Yeah.
doing it while he's there. He's saying all this stuff.
Yep. And I want to bring something up that also bothers me. There's this whole 3 million pages is not half of 6 million documents. I don't know how hard we need to hit this, but we need to hit this everywhere. It's less than 5% of the documents that are in the 6 million files have been released. 3 million
And it was
pages
due
is,
what? Like, how long ago was it due? A month and a half? I mean, they've already
Yeah.
broken that law.
and there's
Right.
still 3 million files of of indeterminate length. I mean, there could be a single file that has 3 million documents within it, 3 million pages within it. Like, that's the reality. Like, one legal zip file from one trial could have all that with all the discovery, like a civil trial. You could have 3 million pages in a single zip file with the evidence and discovery. So it's just, that irritates the shit out of me. The other one is,
Files do not. I mean, again, I think it's something we need to repeat.
yeah,
And again, we need to push when Democrats, who obviously there are a whole lot of Democrats doing a great job, but when our leadership isn't sort of repeating enough, We just need to push them to repeat it more. We need to push other Democrats. We need to push corporate media. We need to push. I mean, whoever it is,
That's
keep
right.
saying it. If you know,
So
the point is if enough of us say it enough times,
yeah.
they'll have to cover it.
Yeah. So and that's everybody just needs to start like tweeting and retweeting and blue skying and all this stuff to all your favorite news people that 3 million pages is not half of 6 million documents. And that needs to be hammered until one person catches onto it, and then it will spread, because I don't think there's a conspiracy to hide these things. I think there's just a lack of a light bulb moment, and people just kind of run with what sounds like half. I saw the guy on Law and Crime discussing it this way, and he should know better.
But Trump's people obviously all the time play with these things and lie and whatever.
Right.
And he just pulls things out of his ass and says things that obviously prove that he's got dementia or he's just a complete idiot. I'm going to go with both. You know, it's like, well, crime has gone, you know, oh, no, wait, immigrants committed 117% of crimes. And you want to just be like,
right. So let me do one more Shazam that needs to be said, and we'll I'm sure you'll have a thought on this as well. This is a picture of Little St. James Island. This is Epstein Island. This is the island where where Elon Musk begged to hang out, where everybody said, and Trump said, I never flew to the island. Remember this? I never flew on his plane to the island. Okay. Look at this and tell me where the runway is. Anybody?
Oh, you're asking? I mean, I don't know that I can show you. Really
is not one. There is not a runway on Little St. James Island. No one has ever flown on the Lolita Express to Epstein Island. No one. So everybody says, I never took his plane to the island. I never flew on his plane to the island. I never flew with him on his plane, and never did. You didn't have to.
Why you listen. You should. What you're saying, Hal, that's so important here is listen to every word they say.
Yes.
Because they parse it like lawyers. So if they say, I never flew to Epstein Island, obviously you're pointing out, well, nobody did because you can't land there. But they also may be like, you know, somebody may say, I never flew to Epstein Island. You might be like, but you took a boat there.
Yes.
You know, like you didn't fly. Like, these are the things we need to be listening to.
That's right. And so people will say, you can even tell who took the boat and who took the helicopter by how people explain it. You can listen to their story and go, oh, okay, this person's saying I never flew to the island. That means they took the boat from St. Thomas or any of the Virgin Islands nearby. It depends on how far your boat wants to go. The number of yachts that docked off that fucking place.
Trust me, it's not difficult. I actually, before when I got into graduate school, I quit my job because I worked right up to the summer and went and spent a summer in St. Thomas, drinking a lot of Red Stripe, enjoying myself, getting some sun with a good friend and all that sort of stuff. It's not hard to boat around there, folks. All the islands are right there.
Okay, so yes, and everybody's asking in the chat room, there's a helicopter pad. Ghislaine Maxwell was a helicopter pilot. She would fly people. There are no documents required to fly between one island and the other, just like island hoppers in Hawaii. If you hop on
you'd only need documents if it belonged to another country, and then you would need, like when we went to Tortola, we needed, because it's British, we needed a passport. But otherwise, as long as it's not the province, it doesn't belong to a different nation. No, there's no paperwork you would need at all.
And by the way, if that nation doesn't require paperwork, they have some sort of open agreement, which it would include Epstein's island if he wanted to, as a private island. He could have you don't need a visa from the United States kind of thing to come to his private island. That's his own ability. He could say that if he wants to.
His island, he can make those rules, correct?
Right. So and a lot of people will also say, I didn't take his plane to the island. I didn't fly on his plane. I didn't go to the island. You'll watch how their language comes out.
I didn't go with Epstein to the island.
Right.
So traveled separately.
That's right.
I mean, again, you have to look at it in the manner in which lawyers do look at this stuff, because these people will lie, in plain sight, and they will purposely use words so that if they get asked under oath, they can then say, I wasn't lying. I was saying it. I was just telling the truth.
Yep. That is exactly right. So two things I want people to hammer. One is 3 million pages is not half of 6 million documents, and we need to just hammer the shit out of that. And the other one is there is no airstrip on Epstein's Island. So most people took a boat or a helicopter, and there's no passenger manifest on either. So they were able to fly in. Trump has a property on St. Thomas. So people who went to party at the island could technically have been staying at Trump's property in St. Thomas, and he coordinated with Epstein so that they could go to the island just for the day, for the night, or whatever, and stay at his property the rest of the time. So they had plausible deniability, the ability to say, I didn't go down there, I stayed overnight at the hotel. And who's going to say different if it's fucking Trump's staff? Never mind whoever else owns the places on that. So like it's that part irritates me. That little like soft lie that keeps getting told is
no, I mean,
yeah.
again, it irritates me with that in the same manner in which, again, these people have conducted everything.
Yes.
If you ever watch sort of a hearing, where any of them bother to show up to, particularly when they're under oath, they do it even more because it allows them to lie while technically not lying, but to get out of it, and again, like they do these things all the time. They play with words because, again, if they really just told you what they were doing, then they would come right out. That they would be the corrupt, criminal, incompetent, cruel losers that they are.
That's right.
They hide it.
So in relation to your point about the elections that are coming up, I think a lot of this is going to drive. I'm seeing an effort on the right wingers, and I'm going to show a clip this afternoon of Peanut Butter Dickhead's podcast, the Patrick Bet-David dude, where his crew has been, I
don't even know who is that.
Patrick Bet-David has a thing. It used to be called Valuetainment, where he's like trying to be a softball Tony Robbins, and then he converted to being a right wing, Trump supporting channel because that's where the money is.
Tells you everything you need to know because MAGA is the same kind of scam as the self-help bullshit.
Sure,
it's all ways to sort of get into your head and convince you that you need them. They're cults, all of them. So.
Right. So in this particular case, it was like and it's kind of like the Hodge twins. The Hodge twins used to be just kind of like a bro channel, and now they're the conservative twins. They're like two black weightlifter dudes who are giving away F-150s on their channel because money came magically from somewhere when they decided to be Trump supporters. Fascinating that as soon as that happened, they were giving away trucks on their channel. Went from like a regular, anyways. So
and the only thing that's so obviously offensive there is how many different places the money could have come from.
Oh yeah,
was it Musk? Was it Putin? Yes. Was it Thiel? Was it Ellison? Was it Uline?
I only hope it came in the form of crypto because Bitcoin is eating shit right now.
Every time I see the Bitcoin like crash, I'm happy.
Me too. Yeah, and there's going to be a bunch of shuffle around to try and like maybe there's another coin that'll work. It's all the only reason it was propped up as high as it was is because the Russians and the Chinese, like the oligarchs there, were getting their money out of the country and they were using it, so there was a lot of money in it as it transferred from one account to the other. I mean, you could argue that a lot of the whatever Epstein's Russia was converted into Bitcoin and sent out and whatever.
But that's the issue. That's the whole problem here is whatever issues there are, and there certainly are with the stock market, is not regulated nearly well enough, for where these kinds of things happen. And it's not the value of stocks or whatever that's keeping it high. It's various other factors. As we know, people can do buybacks, which was illegal before Reagan came in. It was considered stock manipulation, which it is, and that kind of thing. But if people think the stock market's bad, my God, is Bitcoin a pile of shit? I mean, you can manipulate the hell out of that with no effort whatsoever. There's no transparency there.
Well, the Russians think that's Trump's plan to get rid of the national debt. So they think what it is he's going to rug pull Bitcoin to get rid of the debt. So the way you do it is you drive it really far down, let it collapse, buy a bunch of Bitcoin to hold the debt or let it go up, and then sell it, and then crash it
and promote
again.
the hell out of it and say, if you really want to be MAGA, and maybe put his stupid face on some coins or whatever, so
Yep.
these mouth breathing dragons go and waste
Yeah.
whatever money they actually have left on this
Which,
stupidity.
I mean, if they're not spending it on elections and helping people get elected, I give a shit. I think you'd probably
No, I'm talking
agree.
about the
Yeah.
lower level morons. Is really, I
Well,
mean, some of the big
me,
guys too,
me
but
too. No, I mean the people like who would donate to like vote red or
oh, I got
whatever.
you.
Like
Yeah, no, true. Better for them
if
to
their
just put
50
it into
bucks goes down a fucking Trump coin hole or
throw it into
buying
the Grand
shoes.
Canyon and right.
Exactly. They might as well be setting fire to it. But I think there was a shock, and this has to do with what you were talking about in terms of like their nervousness about the elections. Is this what happened in Texas specifically?
That's what I'm saying. Is
Yes,
the
right.
Texas thing after and I think the last one was the one in Miami.
Hmm.
And the one I'll just say this quickly because for background, and we saw what happened in Tennessee, and in Tennessee where we almost won that congressional race that we had lost by 23 points or something. Like that was white people who had broken away from them. I think
Hmm.
largely, if I remember correctly. In Miami, what you had was one of the most reliably Republican groups ever, Cubans, who've
Hmm.
been the only Latino group that was reliably, massively Republican, turned on them in a way they had not ever before. And we looked at they had won every mayor's race in Miami, and I don't know how long. I think it had
Right.
been 30, 40 years, and we won by 20 points. And now you look at this, and you're looking at this huge MAGA county. I think there's a decent Latino population there too, but there's a major white population also. They're losing like some of the
Yeah.
groups that they convinced to vote for them last time. They are absolutely crashing among.
Yes. So
And
this let me
young,
catch
yeah,
everybody
but
up on what actually happened because there was a 31 point swing for a reliably Republican district yesterday, or day before Friday, whatever it was.
yeah, I think it was
Trump and yeah,
Saturday they voted, I believe,
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
So Democrat Taylor Remmett, a labor union leader and veteran, defeated Republican Leigh Wamsgans, which was Trump's choice.
Okay,
And
just
Trump's
for
gonna,
having that name, you should get your ass
yeah,
kicked. I'm just gonna.
well, that's the thing. Trump will blame the branding aspect of the name that, Remmett sounds like a strong word and Ramsgans sounds like a mess. And you're like, well, you should have
I mean,
thought of
it
that
looks
earlier,
like a
dummy.
MAGA name. It's like, somebody who can't spell, so they add two S's at the end.
It looks like a word that Trump says when he's trying to say ambulance.
The Whamgans came.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, Whams when they call the Whamsgams with when the truck comes up and they put the person in the back.
Did you just stop everyone? We'll get back. I want to continue, obviously, but do we
Yes.
ever just stop every once in a while? Hal, take a look at some fucking guy named Whamgans ran, and what you just said about Trump pronouncing stuff the way he does, and everything else we've talked about, and been like, what the fuck? How the fuck did we end up in this reality?
Yeah.
I just every once in a while I need to say that. And okay, let's go back to what you were saying.
Yes.
Yeah, look.
I think we ended up.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
We knew we were headed this direction. Like,
The kidney
Well,
has
I mean,
a
I
very
can tell you
special-
intellectually.
yeah,
I can explain it intellectually. There's the godfathers of I mean, Mitch McConnell is not given nearly enough credit for destroying our judiciary, for making sure money was dumped in our politics, for destroying the committee, not committee in the
yes,
Senate. Newt Gingrich for what he did to the House. Obviously, certain members of the Supreme Court. We can go on and on.
yeah,
I get it intellectually, but still, the level of fucking stupid that
Yeah.
we're seeing is okay. Let's get back to Wambagans or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck his name is.
The other thing that and this points to like illustrates your point about the kind of support that he's gotten from weird communities that is fading. And this is there's been reports of like there's twice as many Brazilian people who've been nabbed by ICE in the last year than in 2024. That number is not up because there are twice as many insane asylum escapees and criminals in the Brazilian community or whatever. It is simply because they were nabbed off the street because they were caught speaking Portuguese. And there are a bunch of people, there's a big talk how the Brazilians are trying to blend in by not speaking Portuguese in public and doing all this kind of stuff. But this right-wing Brazilian influencer, which is a lot of influencers, who defended Trump's immigration crackdown, was scooped up. This guy, Junior Pena.
Right, the head of Latinos for Trump was deported. So,
yes, right.
They're going to have to find themselves some new influencers, I think.
I think Stephen Miller's plan is that they get some, but they all speak German. But this guy said, I support Donald Trump. I like the guy. He said most immigrants need not be worried because federal officers were only arresting criminals. They're all crooks, a lot of them, meaning the people that they were snatching up, including the 5-year-old that they had in detention, I suppose.
He was very much. And then there was a 2-year-old girl. She definitely was a crook.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could tell because they're born with a rifle in their hand. You know what I mean? They're born ready to, sift cocaine in a fucking Colombian.
Right. It's like born on the 4th
thing.
of July. You're born like with that rifle in your hand, as you said. You got a Tony Montana thing going on your desk where this little 2-year-old is just dumping her head in the desk and snorting.
Right. Yeah. Literally say hello to my little friend, and it could be a teddy bear with coke on its nose. But yeah. So this is, so 2,785 Brazilians, which is like 4 trillion, I think, were deported in Trump's first year back in office compared to 1,640 in 2024. If you asked anybody, Biden didn't deport anybody, much less 1,640 Brazilians who were here, illegally.
Right.
That's the part that keeps coming up, is that like Trump's like, we've doubled the numbers of this group of people or this group of people. None of them particularly.
But that's the thing is that Obama and Biden deported more people because they actually concentrated on a program of trying to keep our borders. They just did it in a humane way. They didn't grab people and throw them in to shackle them when they were pregnant and beat them up and shoot them on TV.
Right.
They did it in an orderly way, and you do need to protect your border. So that's what they did. But so he's not deporting so many people. He just likes the images of harming people because he's a sick fuck.
Well,
and because also he knows his base are filled with
I also think it's because the numbers aren't there. I've been hitting this too, and I think it's got to be dealt with, is the fact that there are nowhere near the number of illegals in this country that Trump keeps saying that there are. 25 million to 35 million, who came in during Biden and have been running around. They just don't exist. They're not here. We got under 11 million undocumented workers in the country, the vast majority of them working in hospitality and farming, period. And the rest of them are their children and or spouses, many of whom they have either met here or had here, right? In the case of their kids. So, and technically they're here undocumented, but their kids are born in the United States. So,
and just so folks know, I just think it's worth saying quickly because I just looked it up. And I was pretty sure I knew it, but I wanted to be 100% sure. The largest population of Brazilian Americans is in Florida. So in addition to the Cubans, who he has found a way to break their 60, 70-year lockhold on, and all these other Latino groups that moved towards Trump to the point where 48% of Latino men, which they all really need to take a good look in the mirror for what they did, that 48% ended up voting for Trump, but he is hemorrhaged among these groups. And then you start looking at the other groups in Florida who he has hemorrhaged among, and now he's going to go after, he is here in my state, these fuckers, they're going to go to Springfield, where of course they're eating the cats and eating the dogs, and they're going to target Haitians, who are, a hardworking community that everybody there gets along with great and whatever, and do that. Well, there's also a huge Haitian, not only in Ohio, but Haitian American community in Florida. Alexander Vindman is running now. I'm just, when you start doing the math, again, if we protect and make sure there's anything resembling honest elections, they're fucked.
Yes.
And that is why we have to make sure of that.
Well, there's also, I would argue, a contingent of Republicans who want it to happen. They might feel safe in their district, or they're not up for re-election in the case of the Senate in one particular term, or they're in a state where they just know there's not going to be a Democrat. Even if they were nipping at their heels, they'll never clear the bar. They know they're okay, but they would like the Democrats to take out their trash for them. That they want us to solve the Trump issue. They want
Oh,
us.
there's no doubt because so many of these they're such fucking cowards.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's so many Republicans. Look, you hear it again and again. You hear it from Republicans. You hear it from Democrats. Some of these people, I've heard it from folks that either members of Congress, former members of Congress, other appointed officials who I just happen to know personally, and they will all tell you the same thing. And when Trump is not around, huge groups of Republican members of Congress will be talking about Trump in the same manner you and I are now talking about him.
Yep.
But my God, such soulless, cretinous fucks. I mean, I could have no less respect that your stupid office you're in, your little bit of power is that important to you, huh? That you'll
Right.
make us all go through all of this. It's just amazing to me. So
Yes.
so you're right. They're behind the scenes. I bet they all end up voting for the whoever the
no.
Democrat is.
Yeah, that is the
They
biggest.
want us to get rid of him.
One of the single biggest issues that they're going to have to deal with is the number of Republicans that go into the voting booth and vote for a Democrat just to get rid of this stench. And
Yes.
and
But that's
like,
why the elected ones cannot be allowed to walk away from this
yes,
unscathed. I mean, there needs to be a Truth and Reconciliation Committee. There need to be Nuremberg trials. There need to be the Christy Gnomes and the Pam Bondis and the Kash Patels and all of them need to be in prison for the rest of their lives. And then there's a whole another group of people that need to be fined hit with civil lawsuits and fines into oblivion to where they can then find out what SNAP is like, which they've been trying to
And there's a
cut.
massage
And there
table.
needs to be a whole nother group of them, like what Lincoln did, who wouldn't accept him as president, who need to be removed from office and banned from ever serving in any office in any
Right.
capacity ever again.
and let me just say that, like, all of the people who are distancing themselves from Jeffrey Epstein right now, especially that are around Trump, including Warsh, who he's wanting to put in as Fed chair, who was tied to him because of Lauder. His wife is the daughter of the Estee Lauder.
the whole
kind of
Estee
heir.
Lauder.
Yeah, who wanted Greenland. He's one of the people who believes in the technocracy idea and wanted Greenland and started buying property on the idea that he had Trump's ear and knew the value of that would go off, and then he could go up and he could sell it to the U.S. government. So it was literally like a real estate pump and dump scheme.
Basically, it was
that this guy-
insider trading. Yeah.
Exactly, but with real estate. I want to revisit something, if I may. This is Howard Lutnick, aka Nutlick, who is always laughing at Trump, not with Trump. If you'll notice, there are times when Trump says stuff, and it is clear that Nutlick is not laughing because, oh my God, Trump is so funny, but oh my God,
Right.
can you hear this asshole? Like, he's definitely
Right, 'cause he's actually, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue or he's brilliant or anything, but he's actually a relatively smart guy who is a complete piece of shit and
Yes.
doesn't, has no. I mean, they all have to be if they're willing to do this stuff. So he gets when Trump's being an idiot and yet still backs him,
right.
laughs
So
at
here,
him, but yeah.
Here is Howard Nutlick explaining the one time he met Jeffrey Epstein. And I want you to listen for a red flag. I mean, there's multiple, but the one big red flag that reminds me of Hegseth and his wife.
He opens the doors, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room, and candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, "Massage table in the middle of your house?"
By the way, that's the woman who wrote the Hunter Biden book.
I was just going to say, how are these people finding any of this amusing?
Wait, yeah.
Oh,
How often
rape,
do you have a
it's great.
massage? And he says, "Every day." And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, "And the right kind of massage."
Ooh.
Now, my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, "I'm sorry, we have to go." And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Okay.
And he was there like an hour later as soon as his wife went out
Absolutely. Fucking absolutely. All right. Let's be abundantly clear. I don't know if you ever heard, like,
8
when
steps.
Yes, 6 to 8 steps to the house that he bought from Epstein's trust.
So what people usually do, I find in life, is when they find somebody to be, what do you call them, a disgusting person or whatever, is they go to them and say, "Hey, does your trust have a house right next to yours? It's 6
Yeah.
to 8 steps away. Oh,
Yeah.
it does. Can I buy that so I can
Yeah.
be there, even though I find you disgusting and I'm totally never going to be over there for the massages?"
Yeah. And my wife and I decided, which sounds like his wife told him because he spoke in front of her, like, "You're never going over there again." And he's like, "Of course not." And then went right over there. So,
Of course he did.
Yeah, it's fucking
He like literally
ridiculous.
looked at his Rolex, his diamond encrusted Rolex, I'm sure, and was like, "Honey, what time did you say that you're going out with the girls?" You know, and at that point, you know, "Oh, you're leaving in 45 minutes." Yeah, there's a really good movie, or there's old episodes of Knight Rider on. I think I'm gonna watch that. And then the minute she left the house, he ran 6 to 8 steps.
This is okay.
Oh, look
Remember,
at that! Look at
oh
what you have
yeah,
up there.
look, it's a little email exchange between Jeffrey Epstein's assistant / co-conspirator Leslie Groff and Howard Nutlick. And remember all the shit about Pizzagate and how extra cheese was code for young boys and whatever the fuck they made up or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me read to you, if I may, from the response that Howard Nutlick wrote to him. By the way, not calling him Mr. Epstein or Jeffrey or whatever. Jeff, you know.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah. FYI, I will let y'all know what he says Leslie Groff. And he goes, "Come Saturday or Sunday lunch, Little St. James on the map behind Christmas Cove. So you can find it in your fucking boat." This is exactly what I was talking about there's not a landing strip on the island. You assholes. All right. Hi,
Yes.
Jeff. Jesus. "Hi, Jeff. We're landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon and planning to head over St. Bart's Anguilla on Monday at some point. Where are you located? What is exact location for my captain? So how do we get to your island via my boat? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? I have another couple, Michael and Marcy Lerman, with me on my boat, and each of us has 4 children, 2 16s, 2 14s, 13, 12, 11, and a 7-year-old. And I got to tell, first of all, it doesn't say each of us has our 4 children. Let's start there. If you want to get creepy, you want to get all fucking Pizzagate about this.
No, but you do need to, because why would you go out of your way to name the ages of the children and that kind of thing? Like, that jumps
It looks
out
like
as
a
so
menu.
fucking creepy.
It looks like a fucking menu to knowing
does.
what we know about Epstein. And the idea that we have, each of us has 4 children with us, our children, each of us has our families with us. Like, there's a whole way you would discuss this that doesn't sound creepy in retrospect,
Which is
in this.
right. Which, Hal, I would argue, is almost any other fucking way than this.
Yes, right.
Like literally
Literally
any other
this,
way.
Right. I made a joke at the show, which was quite brilliant. If I do say so myself, at the charity show we did for Indivisible at the Elk Grove chapter of Indivisible at Dino's on Saturday night, that I think Trump, you know, the left wing thinks Trump is captured by his donors and billionaires and oligarchs and maybe even Russia or whatever. The right thinks he's captured by Israel and Mossad, and he's too close to the Saudis or something like that, or Qatar even. They're getting upset about that. I think he's actually being controlled by Big Toner. I think the toner companies know that all these redacted files are just boom, like the amount of toner.
Oh my God, that's right.
If you flip the pages of these documents, even the ones released, it looks like a cartoon about a character named Blocky who's falling down a well. It's just like,
and you know what the truth of the matter is here is it's the left. You're naming a bunch of folks who they think control them. The right, you're naming, and the truth is that both sides are actually right. It's that, I mean, I'm not saying every, entity, I have to listen to everybody you named again, but again, and this is what I need from Democrats, like, going forward, which is they created their conspiracy about George Soros. It actually happens to be much more true about Elon Musk. And now you bring in, Lutnick and whatever. They're a group of creepy, predatory billionaires. They are predators when it comes to little children. They are
Yep.
predators when it comes to women. They are predators when it comes to our mortgages, when it comes to our bank
Our life
accounts, when it comes
savings.
to our
Right.
jobs, when it comes to our life savings. They are stripping America for parts, and they're stripping people quite literally. They're just basically all America is to them is a way to get wealthier and to get more power and to get whatever creepy sex that they want. And again, I mean, in all seriousness, it is a group of billionaire predators that are fucking all the rest of us over and
Right.
destroying our country and taking advantage of people. And that is the way this all should be messaged. I mean, because you see it with the people he surrounded himself with. They're all just like him. They're all in the Epstein files. They're all people that, if you look close enough, they've fucked some people over. They've done something with derivatives. They've done something with insider trading. They've done things with firing people at the office or harassing women there. Or what I mean, they are that conspiracy that they always weaved about Soros is them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is, by the way, this is the follow-up email. This is in 2012, I would like to remind everyone. This is after he's been convicted in Florida. Epstein. This is a response from Howard Lutnick, or from Jeffrey Epstein. Good morning, Howard. Jeffrey wished me to pass along the below to you. Nice seeing you. Please read number 2.3 sent from my iPhone. Nice. That means they made it. They went to the island just like he said. They took their boat with those children.
Nice seeing you. Yeah.
Whoever the fuck they were, and brought the boat past Christmas Cove up to Little St. James Island, with like no passenger manifest and all this stuff. The idea that Trump is like, first of all, we're never going to see Trump's flight logs about who was on there. Epstein, we know, flew multiple times on Trump's plane. It was a regular occurrence. That one Maximum Golf interview where the guy was sitting there when Epstein shows up with Ghislaine Maxwell and an unnamed underage girl who, in the whole fucking 3-hour flight, this dude never gets her fucking name or who she is. I call bullshit.
Of course. But I would argue, I mean, why do we even, it's like people keep saying this, and of course, just because it's the law and because victims of all of this deserve justice, they deserve closure, they deserve all sorts of things. We should get all of it. But when it comes to Trump's culpability, I don't even understand why there anything else. I mean, what just came out in those the calendar girls and the, all of the other stuff, the oral sex and again, so much has now come out about Trump and about these other figures around him, from Lutnick to Musk to God knows how many others, that it really is enough to point out who they are, to point out the sick sociopathic predators they are, and now they are trying to do to all of us what they have already done to way too many people, young girls, frankly. And I mean, what more do we need to know what Trump's involvement was in this?
Agreed.
We know. He owned fucking pageants where he bragged about sneaking in when girls were changing who are 14 and 15. He wrote a letter to Putin about the young, beautiful girls there. He sent that birthday card, to that schmuck. He basically, wrote on the thing, he likes young, beautiful women even more than I do, maybe.
Right.
I mean, like, come on, how much do we need here for this to be obvious?
Right. This is, by the way, the exchange between Elon Musk and Leslie Groff, who, by the way, needs to be brought in for questioning. I mean,
Yes.
she's the other Ghislaine, just like what was her name? Heller, I think it was. The other girl in New York who married the race car driver who's been living there in a $5 million apartment in Manhattan all these years with a salary that wouldn't justify it, and her race car boyfriend, husband, whatever, started divorce proceedings when all this shit started hitting the fan.
And then there was, what's her name, right? It was just the Lady Rothschild, whatever the fuck her name
Anna
is.
Yashishin, the fake Rothschild. Right.
Yes, so, she was like knee deep in all of this shit. I mean, talk about the right's conspiracies, and what they say about the left. There's even a Rothschild involved in this.
Right.
With
a fake Rothschild
Epstein
Russian.
was a member of the Trilateral Commission, for fuck's sake.
Right.
I mean,
so it checks all the conspiracy theory boxes. And watching them talk about the Epstein files without mentioning Trump or trying to go, well, he wasn't really that wasn't a thing, whatever, like watching them try to like just tap dance on this manure pile is fucking hilarious. But so this is Epstein to Jeffrey Epstein from Elon Musk directly, by the way. Groff is responding. So Elon Musk's assistant isn't writing this. Musk is writing this from himself, like directly to him. And I love that JEE Vacation is his fucking email for coming to the island. The Jeffrey Edward Epstein Vacation.
Ugh.
Fuck this dude. Right. So anyways, he goes, probably just Tallulah and me. What day night will be the wildest party on your island? This is 2012. Then Christmas 2013. Fucking Christmas. Elon writes, actually, I could fly back early on the 3rd. We will be in St. Bart's. When should we head to your island? On the 2nd? And then he goes, any day 1st through the 8th, play it by ear if you want. Always space for you. Which is an adorable play on words for Elon Musk. Which means they've had long conversations about space.
Space.
And that's
and,
like he.
Ha ha ha. So
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I mean, when they mean
Fucking
that,
hell.
I would have meant it after those pictures of him on the yacht.
Yeah.
I would have meant like we had to expand the space because your fucking waistline, like at this point, is large enough that like objects actually revolve around it, like like it's the sun. But whatever.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is to Elon Musk, I think to Mary Beth, his assistant at this point. Hello, Mary Beth. I have now sent you a copy of all 3 girls' passports. Sorry, blank is upside down, but I figure you will print. Jeffrey will have his ID with him wherever the fuck they're going together so that they can go someplace, And again, What was Joel Greenberg doing in fucking Florida? Creating fake IDs for travel within the United States because Matt Gaetz and Joel Greenberg were going to replace the gap created when Jeffrey Epstein died. They were like, we're going to take over this fucking business. We're going to end up with our own island one day.
Of course.
And we'll do a local version of this shit. But like and then of course at the top of this picture, beg your pardon, at the very top of this, at this billionaire dickheads gathering, there is Elon Musk sitting right here and Jeffrey Epstein. They're like a table away from each other. That's our dear friend John Fugelsang in the background coming in. I want to remind everybody. Hold on, let me bring up your Substack.
What I'm hoping is out of this is that am I out or can
no,
I
you're
say
here.
one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead. No, you're here.
What I'm really hoping is, way back when Tesla's, like their market was crashing. I mean, Europe just 40, 50, 70, it was crashing here in California and whatever. And his hand-picked idiots on the board kept him on there, even though he clearly was violating his fiduciary duty. He wasn't paying any attention to Tesla. He was paying attention to Twitter, to other things and hurting them. His reputation when he was becoming a right-wing nut and hiling Hitler and all of that. Like now, how about this and what this does to Tesla? Like, I really do hope a class action suit of some sort gets together of shareholders who go and sue this board and all of them for the fact that the decision, the judgment to keep this scumbag on who wasn't paying attention to the company, who clearly was ketamine infused, who clearly was saying things that were harmful to it, racist, bigoted things, and had to settle a sexual, either harassment or assault suit from a female worker at SpaceX, and all this stuff. Like it should have been the most obvious thing to remove him, and they didn't. And now you got this too. Yep,
agreed. Cliff Schechter, I want to remind everybody, by the way, Blue Ant Media on Substack. Subscribe there if you will. And then we'll go. I'd say it goes away. There we go.
Where's Fugelsang so I can say hello?
Oh, he's in there with us.
Is he around here somewhere?
Yeah, you can see him in the background. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Can I bring you guys back in with two? I can do two guests in here.
It's all good.
Be the wrong name temporarily, but I don't really care. Real quick, hold on. Let's bring in. Let's see. I can do this. I'll bring. Oops, that's not it. It's this guy right here. Here you go. John. There he is. He's mixed in there.
It's John.
He's not Philip Bittner. I will close that one out real quick.
He's not Philip Bittner.
I was not planning on two guests at the same time. So please say hi to each other, and then I will bring in our dear friend John Fugelsang for his segment as well.
John, how are you?
Cliff, I got to say, your comments about Elon Musk make me ashamed to be a racist billionaire today. I really, I got to say,
You really do. I
it
know
makes me
you think all that
ashamed.
Jesus stuff, but like we all know the truth, John.
I'm ashamed to be a ketamine-addled loser who can't speak to my own child. Here's the thing about Elon, if I may. Elon just agreed, what was it, 2 weeks ago, with a post saying that if white men become a minority, they'll be slaughtered, and white solidarity is the only way to survive. And this is funny because Elon is someone who thinks that pronouns are the threat to civilization, but the post is still up. He hasn't taken the post down for weeks, right? So Axios called all of Musk's top investors at Fidelity and Sequoia, NVIDIA, like all the Avengers of evil capitalism. And they were like, hey, are you guys cool with Elon Musk posting this white survival thing? No response, no outrage, no umbrage, no pearls clutched, because in tech, now racism isn't a deal breaker when you can still make cash off it. So if you can still raise $20 billion, as long as the stock goes up, that's their kind of free speech, and all the racism is acceptable in Silicon Valley.
I'm just hoping other shareholders who are not those people will get together and be able to make the case that this guy has destroyed the brand's reputation and obviously cost them all sorts of potential opportunities and money with all the dumb shit that he's done.
Well, racism should be bad for capitalism. Racism should be terrible for capitalism.
Yeah.
The investors all say, they say
because I need to get you on my show. I've had
Yes.
Hal on not long ago, but I need you. So
my parole officer has cleared me anytime, man. I'm good for it.
As long as you keep the ankle bracelet on, you should be able to join us.
Yeah.
I have to wear two to hide. No.
Poor Hal.
And I wear
got
two
loud
for balance.
show now.
Yes, one. I have a rule. Three technically. Thank you very much. And I have literally only two at a time, two loudmouths at a time, which would be me and whoever my guest is. So, Cliff, thank you so much. Blue Amp, everybody on Substack, be sure to check that out. And then give me 1 second. I'm going to switch camera positions for our dear friend John Fugelsang, who will be joining us.
By the way, Cliff, Elon's not going to invite you to the Christmas party at Epstein Island, and he was really excited to go. I have never written anyone at 6 a.m. on a Christmas morning to come to a party before. So, man, homeboy was really keen on this.
I wasn't going to fly there anyhow.
That's right.
So that was what was going to happen. I wouldn't fly directly to Epstein Island. Sorry.
Well, and that's again because nobody can.
I
don't know how many times we got to.
Earlier comments.
I know. Can we?
Legal defense. I did not fly there. I did not go with Epstein. I did not. I'll come up with all of the ways you can
weasel your way around it, and we find out through the Nutlick emails that most of them took a boat from St. Thomas, where Trump has a property that he has allegedly, of all the properties in the world, never visited. The one property Trump has no record of showing up at was St. Thomas, which means he knew he was going there under the radar because it was a way station for Epstein Island. Everybody who stayed at Trump's St. Thomas place was just, it's the lobby for Little St. James. Fucking
all
hell.
right. Let me get out of here because I'm stealing Fugelsang's segment. And
I just ask you to just think of Elon's children when you say these things.
Yes.
Think of all of those thousands of children, some of whom he's met. He's met some of them. Think of them,
and my
please.
brain doesn't have the capacity to think of his children. That's well beyond. I mean, how many children? I mean, there's. I think it's about 1/7 of the population of the Earth. So,
right.
Yes. Well, they're keeping apartheid going, so.
Yeah, or rebuilding it from scratch. We'll talk about that more. Thank you so much,
boys from
Brazil.
The boys from Brazil. All right, I'm out.
Thanks so much, brother.
Take it
Okay.
easy.
Yeah, give me 1 second and allow me, if I could, to shift a couple of things around and bring our dear friend John Fugelsang.
I will not leave until you tell me it is over.
Oh, you're clear. You're clear. You're absolutely clear.
Then I will leave you alone, and you can get John in. Thanks, seriously. Thanks, Hal. Pleasure as always, man.
Appreciate it.
Audience out there, thank you for watching. Take care, guys and gals.
All of the above. All right, there we go.
Above.
And then we do this, and then I'm going to do this, and edit this thing, and then we'll bring in John. Also, hit the like, everybody. Share the show. It's South Sparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. And you know it. You enjoy it. And damn it, there's just nothing better. I don't know what to tell you. I wish there was, but there just ain't. I've looked, quite frankly, but here I am. You're lucky to have me 20 hours a week or some odd. I'm a maniac. I understand. Let's bring him in right now. Let's see if I can bring this in. There we go. And he's leaning out of frame, but he's there. There he is.
Oh, hey, Hal. Sorry, it was a long break. I'm ready. Hi.
I understand. Yeah, you had to. You got to blaze a fresh rail of ketamine because that stuff wears off. You develop a tolerance, right? After a while, is that how it works?
I don't know. I just think now Dad will notice me. What's going on?
That's true. So much yet so little. I think that's what we could. This is literally one of the emails between Elon Musk and Jeffrey Epstein. Any plans for New York? The opening of the General Assembly has many interesting people coming to the House. This is from Jeffrey. Elon Musk says, I run and lead product design engineering for two complicated companies. Moreover, SpaceX is about to launch what is arguably the most advanced rocket in history. Flying to New York to see UN diplomats do nothing would be unwise use of time. And Epstein's response, do you think I'm retarded? Just kidding. There is no one over 25 and all very cute. It's a Diddy party, dum-dum. I'm not really inviting you to the UN. That's what he means.
I think it's really sad. It's sad that you have to take this out of context by showing the entire letter in full text, Hal. I don't know why you have to do that. After all Elon Musk has done for America. Yeah. I mean, this is it. And we'll see if this is as acceptable to the masters of the universe as the racism. Now, again, the investors all the investors say the same thing, right? We're not responsible for what CEOs say. And that's true. But they are responsible for what they reward.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a test now. So racism wasn't a deal breaker. The rule is simple. If you make enough money, you can say anything because the racism is priced in. Child rape? Let's see. Mm-hmm. I mean, the clumsy lies this guy has already told. Elon Musk has already told so many transparently false and demonstrably stupid lies that he is now qualified to run the Department of Homeland Security. So we'll see what he can do with this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's by Trump administration standards, he's a piker. I will say that he did say in, I believe, 2012 or 2013, right about the time he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, that we would have full self-driving Teslas that you could rent out as cabs on your own behalf. You'd buy a car, and then you could, while you're sleeping, it would go out and make money during the night. I don't know who sponges the vomit off the seats while in the morning when you have to go to work, but we'll figure that out later. And that he said they would have that within 2 years, and he said that in 2013.
Well, he was busy working on that. He was busy working on that Hyperloop to revolutionize travel in the state of California at the time. It's almost like he just talks a lot of bullshit to make investors happy, isn't it, Hal?
Yeah,
almost like
it's almost
he can
like
bribe enough people.
Also, I'm just saying, if you were creating a situation where you could launder money, one of the ways you could do it is sort of like the producers, when you make more money with a loser than a hit, is that you can hide a lot of loss. You can hide a lot of money in a tech that doesn't work out. And so if you were shuffling some money around and paying contractors and buying stuff from, that never reached fulfillment. Let's say you're just buying a bunch of actuators from China or a bunch of lenses from Russia that were for your cars, your self-driving car thing, and then it never actually happens because, innovation is difficult, You can't dictate innovation, Don, right? Because of that, you could make a lot of money evaporate for some people that they get to keep ultimately through loans they made to themselves they never have to pay back, or materials that you purchase that never have to show up. Or you could go, we got all that. It turned out to be junk, so we just threw it in the garbage, even though it was $40 million worth of lenses, actuators, wires, copper, whatever.
Yeah, listen, I'm an old-fashioned guy. You'll laugh at me and call me a square. I just, if you're looking to launder money, what's wrong with New York real estate, right? What's wrong with doing it for the Russians via New York real estate? Why do you need all this stuff? Seriously, I'm old school on this.
Exactly.
There's so many ways So many ways to launder money for yourself and for others, because you have the comfort of knowing that the two-party system will never investigate it. And even Robert Mueller will hire money laundering experts for his investigation and then never follow through on any of that.
Well, Barr would let him,
Even if,
remember?
let's say, Joe
Remember-
Biden, let's
you'll
say if
remember-
Joe Biden strengthens the IRS to finally go after those billionaires that have been ripping the rest of us off, you can make sure that some racist non-billionaires will put the billionaires back in power to get that pesky big government off their backs.
Yeah, those 85,000 insurance, IRS agents that were specifically there to deal with money laundering on a massive scale, not to like crawl up the ass of somebody with less than 5 employees, but
That's
because
why they were hired.
That's exactly why they were stopped too. I mean,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
anybody wanted him stopped, it was Besant and Nutlick.
Yes.
Navarro's too poor to even give a shit about that. He just likes the idea of it as a story point. But
He's another one. He wants to sleep in the big house someday too.
yeah.
The Confederates will always fight the battles for the plantation owners. And the plantation owners will always get hardworking Confederates to fight their battles for them, whether it's against those evil Yankees coming to take away your way of life, or whether it's on the White House, on the Capitol steps, beating the crap out of cops. It's not really hard to get the Confederates to fight for the plantation owners. It's the history of this country, and we're still witnessing it. Once these working class white guys realize that they have more in common with working class black people and brown people than rich white guys, then and only then will we see democracy cause some results.
Yeah, well, I would also say rich Arabs, rich like Chinese oligarchs, rich Brazilian brothers who own big swaths of farmland in the United States.
Well, let's be fair. Those are the people Donald Trump suspends racism for. So cut them some slack, okay? He wants a Muslim ban unless you're greasing my palm. Otherwise, he wants a Muslim ban.
Yeah.
You know, it's so consistent across the board.
He's Jeff Goldblum in the end of Deep Cover. There, there's no black, there's no white, there's rich people and poor people. The two of us are both rich, so we're in it together. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's really where they are. And eventually, I gotta say, with certain people that does break down. Eventually the Germans and the Japanese were gonna have to work out who was the real master race. But there was a lot of people to kill before we got to that, so we'll cross that bridge when we've already blown it up. Right, is the theory.
That's a good point. They always turn on each other. That's always, look at Trump and Musk. You put a couple of like corrosive narcissist billionaires in the same room and expect them to harmonize. I mean, look at Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem competing to throw each other under the parade float right now. Sooner or later, when your entire movement is built on selfishness as a virtue, when your entire economy, when your entire economic vision and view of society is based on selfishness being good, don't be surprised when your henchmen all turn on each other and it gets bloody. And don't be surprised when your henchmen turn on you. George W. Bush has not been invited to a Republican convention for like 4 conventions running.
And lucky him.
20 years ago, they hated us if we ever questioned George W. Bush. And now he's persona non grata in his own party. What does that tell you? In 10 years, these pathetic racists will deny they ever voted for Trump after 2016.
I agree. I also think there's a very strong chance that Bush himself has been smart enough to turn down a bunch of these things and just sit in his bathtub and paint dogs because he knows the stench just as much as anybody else does, but he doesn't have any benefit from it if he's near it. There's no upside to sucking up to the
Republicans. He doesn't care about his place. He doesn't care about his place in history. George W. Bush is not only the Republican who could maybe do the most good, he's the Republican whose soul most needs it. I mean, let's be honest. If we're talking St. Peter here, George W. Bush has a higher body count than Donald Trump so far. And the reality is
that we're aware of.
The worst thing Donald Trump did was make Bush look not so bad. And the worst thing Bush did was make his father look not so bad, which terrifies me what's going to come to make Trump look not so. They're going to nominate Kid Rock's hepatitis to be their next president. I mean, that's just the trajectory from Ike to Nixon to Reagan to Bush to Palin to this. How much lower can they go? They'll find a way until the hardworking white folks wake up. And you know what? Stealing from vets with a fraud online university didn't do it. G them by the P didn't do it. Having cops beaten on the Capitol steps for a lie didn't do it. I think it's really cute that people think raping children is going to wake up the entire right wing. It's their religion is power. They don't believe in Jesus. They don't believe in religious freedom. They believe in religious domination. And their religion is power. Their religion is believing God thinks they're better than you.
Well, I would argue, that nothing will ever wake up all of them, but there is a statistically significant number of them that have bet on the Epstein files as their own point of personality. The QAnon crowd, the QAnon adjacent crowd, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that are taking this to heart. That's how we got Massey, effectively, is that it isn't just because he suddenly got a change of heart that made him a good person. It's that his constituents put him in there by and large because that was the big operating issue for them. That they believe this.
I think
Pizzagate
Massey really
nonsense.
cares about it, though. I don't think Massey's a good person, but I think he really
Right.
cares about this issue.
I do too, but I also think he was elected by a bunch of people who also believe that this is a crucial thing for them. That's why they're not going to replace him with a more sycophantic MAGA person.
Many won't care, but I think you're right. But so many won't care. I mean, there were no WMDs. There were no WMDs in Iraq, and body bags were coming home every day for a lie, and they still reelected Bush. And then
But you
Trump
can't-
lied to them
Right.
during a plague, and there's body bags in America during a plague, and they voted for him anyway. They don't care if he lies to them and it costs American lives. They're not going to care about
I do think they
childhood.
weigh it against. I think they weigh it against his like who he's up against, because I do think their sexism and racism trounces their
Of
every
course,
other
of
factor.
course. But
Yeah.
when they but in the 1980s, when they convinced America's conservative Christians to defecate on everything Christ ever talked about and replace it with criminalizing abortion, which Christ never talked about, they locked in the fake Christian vote for another century. It doesn't really matter how many of the gospel teachings Donald Trump wags his diseased little junk at, as long as you want to criminalize something the Bible never forbids, they'll believe you're a good Christian like them, because they
Yeah.
don't read the damn book they wave over their head so bombastically. And that's
That's right.
it. That's how authoritarianism always uses a combination of religion and ignorance to get their way. And we're witnessing it right now, just as we witnessed it in the Crusades, just as we witnessed it Spanish Inquisition, American slavery, doctrine of discovery, Columbus, segregation, the Holocaust. It's what authoritarianism always does. It uses religion, uses Christianity, and these people do the opposite of Jesus for Jesus. They'll use Jesus's name to get into power, and once they're in power, they'll do the opposite of everything he says. But it's all for Jesus, right? We're not here. We're here to fight for Jesus, not listen to him. And
Well,
that's
yeah, that's
why
the-
I
that's
do
the
what I do,
event-
because you don't need to believe in it to call them out on it. Sorry, go ahead.
That's right. No, and everybody, if they haven't had a chance, check out Separation of Church and Hate, John Fugelsang's book, A Sane Person's
Oh,
Guide
look
to
at
Taking Back the Bible from Fundamentalist Fascists and Flock Fleecing Frauds. I still have my own hard copy that I want you to sign in person, so I will bring it with me. And the next time I see you, hopefully, which will be a sexy liberal
can't
date.
wait.
But I want to remind everybody, pick up the book today, period, end of story. It belongs on your shelf, then on your lap, then
Thank you.
back on your shelf, and then back
Thank
on
you.
your lap. And it's a good morning read as well. So to
you.
kind of start your day out with some humor and some relevant information for this current fight. I will say that the evangelical concept of lying for Christ was a very new invention, circa 1950 at one point. I mean, it was cultish forever, but it turned into an industry that Swaggart and all these other guys turned into these mega churches, oh, okay, I'm obviously lying, but for the good, to get people to the message, which expounded on almost anything, to get what we need to have happen, we have to lie about Donald Trump being a man of God to get abortion off. Then everything else he does is completely fine. Ultimately, though, they will still send their own daughters to get an abortion if they don't like who they're having the kid with. So it goes
Correct.
beyond just lying for Christ. It's a convenient lie for their own personal need past a certain point.
And the Roman Empire started this 1700 years before the modern abortion wars, too. I mean, it's a long, long tradition. It's always been, the Christ followers who rise up in resistance to the batshit Christians. That's St. Francis against the Crusades. That's the Quakers against against slavery. Dr. King against segregation. That's Bonhoeffer against the Nazis. I mean, there's an amazing history of Christian resistance, but it's always in resistance to Christian authoritarianism.
Right.
And learning the difference shouldn't be that hard. But again, these people don't want to follow Jesus. They want to weaponize him. That's what they want to do, and force their own narrow vision of Christianity onto all of us. I wouldn't look. I like separation of church and state. I'd love a government based on the actual values of Jesus. Really, no death penalty, no poverty. Pay your taxes. Individuals and nations have to care for the poor, have to care for the sick, welcome the stranger, be kind to those in prison. Sign me up. They don't want any of that. They want to force their narrow Jesus-free version of religion onto the rest of us, and every level of our public and civic life. But they don't actually follow the guy, and that's the point that the media and Democrats are too terrified to make.
Well, and because I don't feel, I think there's a big push from the sort of atheistic left on ours to not absorb it because they have such a hostility to how it's been weaponized that you can't go anywhere near it. Yeah. As a Democrat, you can't go, I'm a Christian Democrat. Like, that would be a red flag, and immediately people would assume you're anti-choice. Well, Joe Biden...
I don't know. I think Buttigieg and Tallarico are showing how to do it really, really well. And the whole point of my book, because it's for atheists, you don't need to believe any of this as literal fact to call these frauds out. But go ahead, Mr. Sparks. Sorry.
Yeah, I was saying, like, in the case, Joe Biden was a practicing Catholic, which is the most pro-life of the Christian faiths. Specifically, you can be literally driven from the church. Even evangelicals don't do this. Like, everybody can come back, go have your abortion, and come right back. We'll see you next Sunday. But the Catholics are like, you're out for good, in theory, if you do this. You can be excommunicated for this. And yet, Joe Biden was like, look, sin is a point of choice. If you don't have that choice, this is why God gave you free will, in theory, was so that you could make these decisions. If we make it illegal, I'm stepping between you and your moral choice. In this particular instance, in the unknown, in the unknowables between us. Surely you can't kill a person who's standing right in front of you, but the idea that a zygote is equal to that, or an unformed fetus that has not reached viability, or even a stillborn child that you were forced to carry to term, or because it will kill you in the process, which is really what they're arguing about in ending late-term abortions, because that's what actually fucking happens. They want the woman to die.
That's why the infant mortality. That's why the infant mortality rate has gone up 8% in Texas because of that.
Yes, and maternal death rates as well in that regard. So if Joe Biden can be an actual Christian Democrat and be forward about that, but because he was Catholic, there's almost like this compartmentalized thing. Like, well, it keeps you separate from the evangelical crowd. Whereas if you're just a Lutheran or Methodist, people will overlap you with the overwhelming voice in the Christian community, which is the evangelicals, and they're the noisemakers. They're the salespeople. Yeah. They're the people who sell the car they don't drive. That's really
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Oh, they park that car in their driveway and polish it every day and don't drive it. And I agree. You have to remember the majority of American Catholics support women's reproductive freedom. The majority of American Catholics. And the evangelicals only got into this about 5 years after Roe v. Wade. When Roe v. Wade passed, the most controversial thing about it was how not controversial it was. Right. Jerry Falwell never mentioned it in a sermon for 5 years. And now they've replaced Christianity. They've replaced the teachings of Jesus with criminalized abortion. But to your excellent point, Joe Biden's one of the most pro-life presidents of my lifetime. Joe Biden, with the child tax credit, we had the lowest rate of childhood poverty in the history of this country. Right. Joe Biden commuted the death sentences of almost everyone on federal death row. That's something Jesus actually did talk about. Look at, we could talk all day about the pro-life policies of Joe Biden and the lives that were saved by him in the first 2 years, but they still try to deny him communion over something the Bible never mentions. Right. They tried this with Nancy Pelosi. They tried it with John Kerry to say, you know what, we men have decided you're not worthy of receiving communion with Christ because you support something that Christ and the Bible never talk about. You will notice, and your deeply attractive audience, Mr. Sparks, will notice that these frauds have never tried to deny communion to any politician who supports the death penalty, to any politician who calls Christian refugees illegals, to any politician who tries to turn the Christian refugees away from the border. I've never heard of a single bishop denying the Eucharist to someone who covers up child rape before. Right. But when it comes to abortion, which the Bible never forbids, God asserts a fetus is property in Exodus 21, and that a woman's life has more value in his eye. God gives abortion tips for unfaithful pregnant wives in Numbers chapter 5. They don't care. They don't care about the Bible. They don't care about Satan. They don't care about God or religious freedom. They care about conservative Christian power. And when the media can realize that and stop giving these people the benefit of the doubt, we can start asking some real questions. But faith is a shroud they hide behind to do the opposite of Jesus.
I would like to point out, if I may, and this is, I'm in a very nitpicky mood, especially because of this whole 3 million pages does not equal half of 6 million documents thing that is driving me crazy.
Thank
the
you.
other thing that's also
Thank
driving
you.
me crazy is there is no landing strip on Epstein's Island. So everybody who got there came by boat, largely from Trump's fucking adjacent property. And Epstein had his own fucking dock on Epstein Island, or I mean on St. Thomas, so that he could ferry boats out without anybody being on a passenger list to any fucking where, and they all stay there. I would like to see the visitor logs and the emails, the visitor logs for Trump's St. Thomas property put right up against all these emails. You want to see some fucking red flags. They will 1-to-1 date when people were on those islands, including the scientists that flew down.
It's another reason why there'll never be a special prosecutor, right? Like the smart Democrats are going to start calling for a special prosecutor on Epstein right now before Election Day.
Well, so I got to tell you, if the fact that we don't have one has turned everyone into a special prosecutor. The release of these documents, even as limited as they are, have just made everybody go nuts. You saw with the Charlie Kirk murder that the right they cannot lose their paranoia even when it benefits them to do so. It's like the Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson et al., Erica Kirk fight has been tearing the right apart because they can't just look at the facts in front of them and accept what is there. Now, we will see in this trial if Tyler Robinson's the real guy to do it.
These are people who think Charlie Kirk fought for Jesus teachings. I know.
Right.
I mean, they think Turning Point USA. Everyone, go to Turning Point USA's website. Try to find any mention of helping the poor anywhere on the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, like,
Can
the
I point
media
out-
is
yeah.
terrified to call these frauds out. Sorry,
Can I
Mr.
point
Sparks,
out?
go ahead.
Yeah, no. That in Leviticus, when they talk about like stoning a woman who's guilty of adultery, not the man, he's got to pay a fine for her or something. But the woman gets stoned.
Well, you're supposed to kill them both. You're supposed to kill them both.
Right. But a lot of there were mitigatory things I think later where the guy could buy his way out of it. Effectively, it was her fault in the Old Testament stuff. But essentially, how do you know? How do you know a woman has been unfaithful back then when you didn't have birth control and you didn't have all that? I'll tell you how. She was fucking pregnant, and she didn't have a husband, or her husband knew he'd been off to war or wherever, and she got pregnant. They stoned to death pregnant women. That's how they fucking knew.
All the time.
All the time.
That's,
both of them.
That's
went.
in the Bible, by the way.
Yes.
That's in the story of Tamar. Tamar is where we, originally got the story about masturbation being wrong because they misinterpreted the story of Onan. But she was married to Ur. God kills Ur. They make her marry Ur's brother Onan to fulfill the bloodline. And then Onan feels weird about this, so he pulls out and spills his seed. So God kills Onan, right? It had nothing to do with masturbation. So then it's a really great Bible story. I go deep on it in the book. I'll make it really quick. Tamar is going to lose her inheritance. And so she decides to entrap her father-in-law, Judah. She dresses up as a prostitute. This is all in the Bible. They hook up with her father-in-law, who doesn't realize it's his twice-widowed daughter-in-law in the story. And at the end, he's like, hey, I'm going to pay you with a goat for the good time. And she goes, well, give me your ring and your staff as collateral. He never gives it, comes back. 3 months later, she's pregnant by her father-in-law, and they come out and say she's pregnant. We have to burn her. And old Judah agrees, yes, let's burn her right now for being a harlot. And they're all set to burn a pregnant lady because a fetus is never counted as a person in the entire Bible when Tamar produces the ring and the staff and reveals, no, Judah, you are the father. It's one of the greatest stories of female ingenuity in the Bible, which is why you never see these fake Christians making a crappy movie out of it on Lifetime.
Right.
But right there and there, they try to burn a pregnant woman in the very beginning of the Bible because a fetus is property. A man's property.
It's also why modern Christians, evangelicals specifically, refer to the New Testament as a testament and the Old Testament as a testament instead of the Old Covenant and the New Covenant. Because the break with
You're right.
the Old Covenant was, we're going to put all this eye for an eye horse shit and all this stoning women to death bullshit.
That's Jesus.
That's
Yep.
garbage. And it's why they
He ends
killed him.
He ends it.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons. One of the reasons why they killed him.
Right.
One of them. But I mean, yeah, Jesus brings a new covenant. He's like Travolta in Get Shorty. Like, I'm the guy telling you how it is. The whole Sermon on the Mount is Jesus saying it used to be this way. Now it's this way.
Yeah.
You know, you have heard it said, but I say unto you. So when these right wingers say Jesus fulfilled the law, he didn't go against the Old Testament. Jesus overturns Old Testament law on the death penalty,
Yep.
on divorce, on Sabbath observance. He challenges it on food purity, and he says man is not defiled by what goes into his mouth, but by what comes out of his mouth. That's overturning the Old Testament law.
Yeah, that
there were
gets rid of
many, many
halal
reasons
and all that
why.
stuff. Right.
Yeah, there are many reasons why the Roman Empire and a small minority of conservative religious bosses wanted him dead, because Jesus's teachings are as threatening to authoritarian power today as they were 2,000 years ago.
That's
Which is
right.
why, like Dr. King, he's more useful as a marble statue to make us feel good, who doesn't have anything controversial to say.
Right, exactly. And they can pick and choose what they want to say and when they want to say it. That's why we hear a lot of times the Judeo-Christian values part. That you hear that a lot from Republicans, because they like to pick and choose, as they're allegedly
That's
being
right.
Christians themselves, but they want to dip back into Leviticus. They want to dip back into.
Ooh, they want some Leviticus, yeah.
Oh man, this is that part drives me fucking crazy. And I have to say, the biggest lesson I think on our side is to find a way to communicate those values, whether you believe them or not, whether you're a Christian or not, or those kind of things, but to hold that mirror up of those values to them, both in our own behavior and our own belief, but in also a way that reflects their hypocrisy back to them, where we don't have to be shamed about it, and we can and back those things up, which is why your book is so valuable. That's what I was getting to, is that knowing these tales.
Here's a real easy way to do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just remember this number, guys, 2010. Okay, think what you were doing in the year 2010. Commit the number to memory. Leviticus 2010. When they come at you saying man with man's an abomination, Leviticus 2010 is God commanding you to stone adulterers to death. So tell your Trump voters, sorry, Skeeter, you believe this, you got to believe this. I'll call Secret Service and let them know you and your rocks are on the way to Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
They want to all pick and choose, put someone in a box because they don't want to follow Jesus. Anyone who's trying to use Leviticus to justify homophobia is because Jesus is too woke for them and they got to have a loophole and go around them. They don't follow it. They don't believe in it. If you vote for an adulterer, you don't care. But at the same time, if you vote for a guy who committed fraud against American citizens, including veterans, with a fake online university, a guy who's an adjudicated rapist, a guy who's a 34-time convicted felon who had cops beaten for a lie, don't tell me you're upset by brown people not following our nation's laws.
Right. Yeah, I would. There's a myriad of stories though, and I love that you go into the actual scripture of it. That what's happened is there's sort of an ignorance wall that gets created by people's aversion to how these topics come up and who does them. And so there are reasonable laws you can have about immigration, reasonable amounts of border control, certainly reasonable amounts of internal customs stuff so that people aren't smuggling in fentanyl in stuffed animals and shit like that. There's a real thing. And when Democrats have the conversation about those kind of things, we should be able to have those things fearlessly, because we know we're doing it from a non-exploitive, personal, human direction with these real values. But the problem is that we have seeded the conversation, and this goes to the conversation about religion or spirituality and these things. We have seeded the conversation to the loudest voices in the room a lot of times. When it comes to finance, who's talking about finance? Maria Bartiromo and Howard Lutnick and all these people. And if Democrats get involved in that world, it seems kind of icky because of who has set the standard for conversation, right? And
but Democrats are involved in that world. They just don't get invited onto CNBC or Fox Business.
But I mean, what I'm saying is amongst us, like people online,
Oh, right
people
on, yeah.
Blue Sky and that kind of stuff. And so when you're talking about these things, you don't tend to dive deep into the biblical stories like you and I are talking about here. The elements of the law, like even thou shalt not steal, was originally thou shalt not kidnap in many ways, because humans were property in the Old Testament. Slavery was completely justified, and it was not in the New Covenant. The new version was not to claim other people.
I have come to set the captives free.
That is right.
That's
It's
yeah.
hugely different, and that's why they say Judeo-Christian, because they want to go back in time and pick and choose. And in that argument that they have that the whole thing is sacrosanct equally, it's so ugly the way they talk about it. Like the evangelical voice about Christianity is so fucking ugly that it drives people away from actually looking at what the words say, so they don't apply them. And the same thing is true of the law about finance and the law about immigration. And like they've made it so ugly that people don't even want to discuss the normalcy of it. And that's how they get that ground. That's how they seed it. They seize it from us, because we partly
and that's
seed
how they
it to
kill
them.
religion.
Right.
Yes, exactly. But that's also how they destroy religion. Fundamentalism is destroying. The hardcore extreme right wing are the ones ruining Islam, ruining Judaism, ruining Hinduism, ruining Christianity. Scientology, I guess they'll get there at some point. But yeah, that's it. It's all, nobody hates Christianity because of the nice Christians. It's always the authoritarians. No one hates it because of St. Francis. They hate it because of the Crusades. Nobody hates it because of MLK. They hate it because of the racism, right? Like no one hates Christianity because of Bishop Tutu. They hate it because apartheid was propped up by Christianity. That's the whole story all through it. And again, you don't need to be a Christian or buy into any of this as literal fact to see the pattern that comes through history and comes through our politics right now. All you got to do is ask any MAGA in your life to name one actual teaching of Christ that MAGA or Trump follow and fight for, and you'll see they don't know that book. And they're counting on you not knowing that book.
That's right. Yeah, and their limited knowledge of it is mostly on the parts. Like I grew up I went to Peaks Mill Christian Church when I grew up. I was baptized when I was 11 years old. You don't have to until you're 13 at our church, but I chose to. I read the Bible twice. I like all the way through. I was going to be, because I had learned at church camp that Jesus was an irritant to the church elders as a young man. That the stories of him as a child that survived was that he knew organically, I guess, the entire teachings of everything and everybody. So when they got it wrong or misinterpreted, he was like, excuse me, actually, and they hated him for it because he would correct them on the real meaning of the scriptures and that kind of stuff. And so I had heard
in front of an audience, he would do it.
Yes. And so when I was a kid, I was like, oh, well, then that's what I gotta be. That's what I am. That's what, if you're supposed to be Christ-like, then I'll be actually, he said that no longer applies. Actually, he said you're supposed to be nice, and those kind of elements, like I
bet they love that about you, Hal. I bet they rewarded you for that faithfulness to the teachings of Christ over church dogma.
Yeah, they literally told my mom I was a wise ass, which I think is, again, whatever. Take what you will from that, and I would say that's true. So I have no lies detected.
In fairness, Hal, Hal, they treated Jesus a little bit worse for doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I was also like I was once called a wise ass by some elders, as it were, and my dad said, "Well, it beats the alternative," and I think that applies.
Very nice.
Right. So
God bless that man.
Yep. So, we're not just here to pump the book, but I do think people need to pick it up. So this is just a heartfelt plea to people to pick up the book and own it and share it, gift it, all those kind of things, especially to those that if you've got somebody in your life that believes, what they've been told by anybody from Trump to Joel Osteen about, what the teachings of Christ really are, it's a good, like, hey man, you can't pretend you haven't seen this. Just, you don't have to agree with all of it. Just read it. Go ahead.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm really honored to hear you say this, because the nice thing is, and you know this. I think I said this on your show last year. This book I pitched for 13 years and got turned down time and time again. And I was so many publishers, so many agents told me there was no audience for it. A book for it's for atheists and believers about how to use the Bible against fundamentalists. I don't know any fundamentalists. How does this affect my life? Like 13
Right.
years of rejection for it. And so we just went back onto the LA Times bestseller list and the New York Times bestseller list last week, which is really great, considering that, it took a long time to get this thing published. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to you and to your audience.
Absolutely, and we'll keep it there an annoyingly long time. That's the goal too. So I in dealing with the sort of generalized hypocrisy of that, let's talk for a moment in the in the last about 20 minutes of the show we have today about like the current stuff that's going on.
Please,
And
yeah.
both the document drop on Friday, and I will not stop hammering this until everybody is saying it and has forgot I was the one that bring it up, that 3 million pages is not half of 6 million documents, period.
Thank you.
And that there is
Thank
no landing strip on Epstein's Island, and that everybody stayed at fucking St. Thomas, in Trump's property in St. Thomas, and that the new emails actually point that out, that that's where they went, that they docked their boats there, that they came over from this place. And so I have said for a while about MAGA, we don't need them to see the light, we just need them to see the lie. And at this point, it looks like, and this is the big fear they're having about the electoral politics of the upcoming midterms and what's making them sweat. And everybody's like, freaking out about this. The Texas loss, on Saturday, the previous one in Miami that Cliff and I were talking about, 31-point swing in a conservative district for the state Senate seat in Texas.
Yeah. Yep.
What's making them sweat is that a lot of these folks are not ready to see the light, but they've noticed the lie.
Yeah.
The question is, does this hold for that time being, and how do we maximize it?
Keep on doing everything we're doing. It's not like these folks are going to suddenly switch and vote a Democrat. They're not going to show up. And the entire Republican Party already knows what they learned in 2018 and 2022. There are certain folk in the land who will not come down from the mountain, in from the woods, or out from the swamp on election day if Mr. Trump from the TV isn't on the ballot this time. So they already know they're going to get shellacked, right? And it's not going to get better. The polling is the same. Trump's lies are getting stupider and stupider. I mean, to come out and say he didn't care about what's going on in Texas, it was a local election. Is Stephen Miller writing the all caps posts on Truth Social? But look at the whole Epstein, document drop that they gave us, right? You're right. It's only half. 3 million files that have not been released out of 6 million. And they say it's because they're irrelevant. It's a child sex trafficking investigation. This is like if the Warren Commission decided, some of the bullets, they're off topic. We're not going to look into all the bullets. And this is Todd Blanche, Trump's personal lawyer, who's in a jail cell making deals with Ghislaine Maxwell to send her to cushy prisons, much nicer prisons than Liam Ramos, the 5-year-old kid in the cute blue hat, got sent to with his dad. Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and they have to release all the files by December 19th, which means, as of today, Donald Trump and Pam Bondi have been breaking the law for 45 consecutive days to protect child rape. That is the opening line we use in any conversation with any MAGAs, with any medias, with any Democrats. 45 days and counting, breaking the law every day to protect child rape. So they're breaking their own law, and now they're pretending how. My favorite part of all this, even more than the flight to the island, but that's a great point. Did you know there were no customers on the island?
Right.
Over 1,000 girls abused, massive years-long sex trafficking operation, millions of documents, hundreds of tips, multiple named co-conspirators named by Ghislaine Maxwell who got their own little deals, and yet 0 men have been charged for abusing it. They ran a global sex trafficking ring with 0 actual there's victims, there's evidence, there's money, there's travel, there's recruiters, but somehow no customers. That's the narrative they're trying to push. And these are narratives that we can reach our conservative friends with.
Yeah, absolutely. And Elon Musk, just alone, there are 25 girls mentioned at the party that Epstein is having that he's inviting Musk to. So there are, again, 25 victims. Musk is not the only person he is inviting to that party. And as a matter of fact, the whole like what night will be the wildest party.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And the fact that I remember when he wore that like dragon outfit to that fetish club, I think, with his mom years ago. Like it was his avatar on fucking Shitter for a while. Him in that like red armor. That was from
No, man, I don't find this guy interesting. I only deal with him when he's wrecking my democracy, you know?
Yeah, right. Well, Musk, I'll see if I can find the party.
Yeah, please. It sounds like it sounds even more infantile than the stuff I've gotten used to.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. And you know, the Musk denials and Musk trying to make himself the victim of all this, that's not yes, I have seen that. That's not going to go away. This guy's creepiness is not going to go away, but Musk, like Trump, is insulated by money. But don't you find it interesting that of all the documents they've redacted, all the names they've blocked out to protect people, which they've openly admitted they're doing, they didn't protect Elon. They didn't protect Bill Gates either. They put their names out deliberately. And then on the most incriminating stuff about Trump, even some of the stuff that's kind of hard to believe, right? The whole bit about Robin Leach strangling girls and stuff. I mean, I'm not so naive that I don't think there will be fabulous things there meant to throw the entire investigation into question.
Right.
Well, that's preposterous. So the rest of us might be as well. But when you post something like that, and then 20 minutes later you delete it,
yeah,
that's not a mistake. That's admitting error with the refresh button. You don't accidentally delete documents from your government website unless you accidentally told the truth.
Yes.
And that is why it's never going to go away. And by the way, that's why Donald Trump's never going to sue Trevor Noah for his comments about Epstein Island anyway, because that lets us bring on the discovery phase.
Yeah, exactly.
Folks, let the Clintons show the way.
Like the Discovery Channel was built for this trials of the century. By the way, this is the front of the armor he's wearing. This is the head of Baphomet with an upside down crucifix on its forehead. Like it's so on the fucking nose. What a dipshit.
Weak.
Yeah, such
weak.
a fucking...
It's so it's you know what? It's so embarrassing.
It's
I would
so
have to go
lame.
arrest 4 black journalists. I'd have to go arrest 4 black journalists to change the narrative as well.
Yeah. God, it's just so fucking stupid. But Musk went to these...
They're so stupid.
Yeah. It's so...
No, we need to talk about how like they're more stupid than they are evil, and they're extremely evil. The demonstrable lies that Trump and Vance and Noam told after the murder of Renee Good and after the murder of Alex Preddy, like they're cooked.
Yeah.
History will forever record this as a government cover of the killings of American citizens, and they're too dumb to realize they can't change the history books.
Yeah, and they also apparently don't know, ironically enough, that the internet is forever.
That's right.
So I'm gonna try and bring up the one brings them the where they took the documents down and then put them back up. This one right here. This is one of the ones that they took down and then they had to put back up because everybody had already seen it. Because as soon as this stuff goes up,
that's right.
Everybody just grabs it. Like as soon as they do a document it's up. Everybody just immediately beyond the whatever internet archive grab stuff anyways. But there are tons of people. This is where I said, like, back in the day you needed a special counsel because people didn't have access to stuff. But now through like OSINT, and just the available commercially available intel that's out there, and the fact that these dicks were braggadocious about it, specifically. They fucking talked openly about it at one point.
They're so stupid. They're so stupid.
It was,
and when you publish something and then when you publish something and then delete it, you've just told the rest of us what scares you.
Yeah. This is, these that came up were all Trump stuff. Like each one of these, the whole page that's brought up is either Epstein talk, and there was like one Epstein by himself, sought modeling gigs at the Trump modeling agency. Now, if you'll notice on the right, it says Jeffrey Epstein is the only person involved in this part of it.
Oh,
but it's
course,
not.
Yes, no clients. No clients.
Complainant reported her neighbor sought modeling gigs at the Trump modeling agency in New York City between the years of 1998 to 2000. Complainant reported neighbor allegedly went on cruises set up by a regular or head of the agency. by a recruiter, beg your pardon, or head of the agency, and once showed complainant a photo of the recruiter, whom complainant recalled looked like Epstein. Complainant reported neighbor was allegedly raped several times during this time period. Another one. Caller provided reference to prior case from 13 years ago that involved Trump mentioned Jeffrey Epstein with a minor. Complainant following up on call after NYPD officer regarding her previous tip, reporting that she was forced to perform sex acts when she was 13 years old and pregnant in 1984. Complainant also reported there were high-profile individuals involved in her sex trafficking and the murder and disposal of her newborn daughter. That's the one where alleged they were thrown in Lake Michigan or whatever because she got pregnant. Again, Complainant reported Donald Trump participated regularly in paying money to force her to perform sex acts with him and alleged Trump was present when her uncle murdered her newborn child. Okay, that, again, these are one of those things where part of it may be real.
Some of them seem farcical. Yeah.
Some of them seem farcical, but there is no way you run an organization like this and somebody doesn't end up dead at some point. Now, they were borrowing all these Eastern European girls and then sending them home back to places where nobody gives a shit. And if they ever open their mouths, they're dead, because that's why you get them from countries like that. It's why MBS and all the Saudi dudes fly over here to the Peninsula Hotel in Los Angeles and buy a floor above the floor they're on and a floor below, and then a bus full of young Filipino men shows up. Like, that's on the regular. That happens, and those guys don't check in because they're never going to check out. And if they said a word, they'd end up pushed out of a helicopter at some point. I would have no doubt. 1987, there was another one. There was 2004 till 2005 that they were put on. Patti LaBelle's PR agent stood at the door at the party. Caller met an individual who was approximately 18 to 23 years of age, who was brought from Oklahoma for a modeling job, but then sold to a man in France. Several women were being auctioned, and a woman possibly known as Colette LNU was the madam. A couple of years later, callers saw Colette at the Cheetah Club in New York. She told me one of her friends that Jamie Foxx was interested in spending a night with her and that he would pay her a lot of money. That kind of circle of things. There's a reason why Cat Williams has started talking about Jamie Foxx a bunch lately. But the reality is that the important thing about that page is that, is all of it true? Maybe not. Is enough of it true where they're like, oops, oh shit, and they pulled it down because it can be compared to other things that are obviously true, and they will correlate those details and eliminate someone's alibi or what story they had been telling up to this point. Just like Trump's whole story about how he kicked him out for being a creep, which we now know is not the case at all. He never kicked him out at all. And Epstein was at the White House for New Year's in 2017.
Best case scenario, Trump knew Epstein was raping children and never called the cops.
Right.
Best case scenario. And you're right. Like, a lot of people smarter than me have talked about how some of this is red herring. Some of these stories are so preposterous. I'm not really sure if Donald Trump was raping children with Clarence Thomas there in the 80s before Clarence Thomas was on the Supreme Court in Oklahoma necessarily. I can see why some of these might seem just timeline wise a bit preposterous, but the reality is, if any of these were red herrings so egregiously crazy, meant to cast doubt on the rest of it, well, deleting it and then putting it back up only makes it more radioactive.
Yeah.
Now they've guaranteed that it's never going away, and I am telling you, the message to Democrats is the Democrats need to start running on special counsel for the Epstein crimes. Right now. Start talking about it, campaign on it. You got 3 years to do it. Start making noise about it because people care. And a lot of conservatives care too. And let the right wing explain why there shouldn't be a special counsel to investigate these crimes.
Yeah.
I don't care if 25 odd guys paid bribes to the government to not go to jail for raping children. Todd Blanche knows the names. Ghislaine Maxwell told him the names. Go after them.
Yeah.
Go after them, Democrats, and become heroes. Show us which side you're on. And if it means Democratic donors go, no one's going to care.
Yeah. Blanche, I'll see if I can bring up the quote that he said. But Blanche's comment about, I don't even know if there were guys, I don't even know what the question is, where I'll bring up the exact quote. It was super hinky. I understand, something like this thing.
Super hinky is my name, by the way. That's the bit I play with.
Yeah,
at the
of course.
Hoboken Fringe Festival.
Let's see. Yeah. Todd Blanche. I don't understand. Let's see. I'll find it in here. There was a quote. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here, this is. Let's see if I can open this up. Yeah. Here you go. This is one of the most like fucked up parts of. I mean, the whole thing was obviously a show, but this.
Men that abuse these girls. Like, what does that mean? I mean, I don't understand what that means.
Well, I mean, they're the men who abused the young women through Epstein's.
Look, we said in July, and it remains as true today as it was in July. If we had information, we meaning the Department of Justice, about men who abused women, we would
Notice he says women, not girls.
prosecute them.
That's right.
Notice he says
That's
women,
right.
not girls. Super clear there. And he's a lawyer. He's
That's
Trump's
it.
fucking
He
defense
knows what he's
lawyer.
doing. He knows he's splitting hairs. You're exactly right. He knows what he's doing. The question is, like, you know, I'm pretty dumb, and I'm in favor of dumb questions like, was American slavery bad? Is
Right.
it good the Confederacy lost? You have to ask questions like this of your right-wing friends and coworkers to know where they really stand. The question that someone needs to ask Donald Trump and Todd Blanche: what should be the penalty for men who put their dicks in children?
Yeah.
What should the penalty be? Tell me on the record. What should the penalty be for men who put their dicks inside of children? And let them give an answer, and then let's see what plays out.
Right? We talked about the work that we're doing. That's why I said that. I said this earlier. There's this built-in assumption that somehow there's this hidden tranche of information of men that we know about that we're covering up or that we're choosing not to prosecute. That is not the case. I don't know whether there are men.
You're right. It's not a hidden tranche. You know exactly where the fuck it is. It's kept from the American people for legal reasons and national security, because if our enemies found out that Donald Trump was an active pedophile for 3 decades with this other dude, then they might be able to take advantage of our country over the next little bit, and it would crash our fucking economy, and the stock market would, and a lot of people would die and be out of work and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's how they can justify it.
Out there that abuse these women. If we learn about information and evidence that
Women. Notice he says women.
that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But I don't think that the public or you all are going to uncover men within the Epstein files that abuse women, unfortunately.
Yeah, dude, let's be real clear. You can debate whether a woman was abused because she's an adult and she could have left and all that kind of shit, and it's hard to bring a case because she's a grown woman and she's 25 and she could have bought a fucking plane ticket and got out. That's what he's talking about. But a 16-year-old from Eastern Europe brought out to fucking New Mexico, get the fuck out of here. What? And he knows it. He doesn't say girls at all. He never says girls.
That's right.
And again, this is all about
This
children.
is the man who sat with Ghislaine Maxwell. With Ghislaine Maxwell in her prison. And Ghislaine Maxwell is not just a convicted trafficker. She is a convicted child rapist as well. And she was given special treatment. And no one has asked the White House, why has this child rapist received special treatment behind bars?
Right.
Convicted child rapist is getting special treatment. And no one in the mainstream media seems to find that too interesting.
Yeah, they bring it up occasionally, but the answer that they get is because her life was in danger or something like that. I'm like, I got news for you. Low security prisons are permeate both directions. They're not only easier to get out of, they're easier to get into. You dumb motherfucker. And if you kept her in a super
Her life was in danger.
Yeah, like get the fuck out of here.
Kids with measles life is in danger. You know, that's not a priority for them.
This motherfucker, though, the whole like men that abuse girls, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know whether or not there are men out there that abused these women.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, this is not an accident. This languaging is from a lawyer, from the president's defense attorney, who has been installed at the DOJ to come up with every possible reason and excuse to hide these details from the American public. And then they posted some of the shit and had to pull it back down. Other than that, I just like...
That's why they arrested Don Lemon and 3 other journalists for covering a protest in a church where there was no vandalism and no injuries. They had to change the narrative. And that's one thing that Donald Trump has consistently been good at. Not so much at getting away with all of his crimes, but changing the narrative away from it. Yeah. I mean, that's what they did. And they know there's no case against Don Lemon or those other journalists. Donald Trump's MO, authoritarianism, doesn't need to throw you in a gulag anymore. They need to bankrupt you with legal fees, and in so doing, terrify every other independent journalist in America to check their own savings account and be nervous.
Yeah, and I do think, and you know, we're at the end of the show, and I want to remind everybody again: pick up John's book. Please do yourself a favor, do a family member a favor. Whoever you think.
Don't buy this book don't buy this for your right-wing loved one. I'm the one person that says don't buy my book, but please, a lot of folks say I bought your book for my Nazi uncle. Your Nazi uncle won't like this book. This is for the people who have to be around your Nazi uncle to show them why your uncle is a freaking Nazi.
If you don't want to talk to him though, it's and again, if it beats, you know, shitting in a paper bag and lighting it on fire at his front doorstep, I think. So it's it's the literary
that is
equivalent.
true, yes. And
sure, yeah.
All right, go ahead and buy it. You know what? I got a drug habit to support. Go ahead and buy the book for your racist uncle.
Yeah, ketamine's not going to snort itself. But I do want to sort of end on this note, and then I know that the idea that all maggots are going to wake up to this shit is not. It is fundamentally impossible. But there is clearly a statistically significant number of them that stood down during 2020 and can be made to do so again. And I don't want the idea that we're never going to get through to these assholes to not make people focus on the end game, which is we need to hit the ones we can. The person you're arguing with online may never move, but the person just over their shoulder who's listening in on the conversation, thinks they're on that person's side, is hearing your argument as well. And then when it's well informed and based on true humanity, you will get through to those folks, whether they want to be reached or not. And again, we don't need them to see the light. We just need them to see the lie. I don't need them to show up on election day and vote for Kamala Harris or some variation therein. I need them to stay the fuck home until they learn. At the very least, that's all we can ask for. And so, in this instance, beggars can't be choosers.
The last two midterms,
and life is too important to leave up to these assholes and chance. You've got a shot here. So,
absolutely. Again, you know, the last two midterms, we know how they played out. We know how this one's going to play out, and let's not forget, stuff ain't getting cheaper either.
Right.
I mean, at some point, conservatives have to admit they're being lied to. Remember how much they hated us for questioning Bush and Cheney, how much they despised us and called us terrorist lovers and freedom haters for questioning Bush and Cheney. Try to find one of them who defends Bush and Cheney today. You don't think they'll throw Trump under the bus in 10 years as well?
Oh, yeah.
These people don't have loyalty. They're just like Trump. They're as fickle as Trump. They want to feel good right now with simple slogans and solutions that don't really work in the real world. So you're right. We got to marginalize them. And, you know, I'm putting all my hope, Mr. Sparks, on the young people being so disgusted and the moral and intellectual backlash that Gen Z is going to bring against the worst, most corrosive, shittiest white supremacy parts of the 20th century, which have just come back for one last jump scare in the 21st. That's what this is. When Trump is gone, the ugliest parts of white supremacist 20th century culture will hopefully be out of power.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, John, for coming on. Everybody's wanting you on the regular as well. And I completely agree. So, you know, appreciate you so much. And I look forward to being on the road with you. We got to make it happen. I insist.
I hope so.
All right. Thank you so much.
This would have been a good year for it. So hopefully we will. I'll see you later on.
Of all years. Fuck. All right. We'll make it happen. We're going to crack that whip.
Peace.
All right. Cheers. There you go.
Thank you so much, pal.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful, talented, and the incredibly ridiculously handsome John Fugelsang. Check out his book, if you will. Hold on. Let me open the real chat window. It's easier this way. Hit that like, share the show. I think today's morning show was spectacular. Thank you, Andrea, for arranging it, especially when we had to shuffle people around and all kinds of stuff. Amazing. It's one of the reasons why this is the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. And it's why it shows taste and breeding on your part that you're here. You're welcome. I will be on this afternoon. I will also be on Brian Karem's podcast tomorrow. I don't know when he's going to air it, but we're recording it tomorrow. And Brian Karem was just name dropped by Trump. He invited him to, quote, a fireside chat because he envies Brian Karem because Brian used to write for Playboy. Trump calls him Playboy for that reason because Trump is stuck like a record in 1987 and all the worst parts of it. Oh, look at that. Yeah, hit us with some emotes right now, Twitch. Let's see if we can get a Twitch hype train going. We haven't done that in forever. We got to pick my numbers up. We got to get the subscriptions up and all that kind of stuff because I'm competing on, on uneven ground right now. I am in a valley compared to everybody else. So I need everybody to subscribe in one way or another. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe there. It would really help drive those numbers up. Once I clear that 100,000 mark, the algorithm should do its own thing, and that will really help us immensely. And appreciate you. Where can you go to follow Brian Karem? I will list all those things on the show later on today, and we will have a bunch of stuff. It's just, for Just Ask the Question podcast. And I think that link just went up in the chat too. But I will see you guys later. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Let me see if I've got this up in here. Yeah. Now, I don't want this to blow back on me. Where is this? Yeah, here it is. Yeah. This, yeah. This'll do. See if this sounds familiar. I'll see you in a little bit. Hit the like, share the show. Annoy the maggot in your life. This is some bullshit.
The screen glows bright with a crooked smile. Words spill out, all venom, no style. Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a lie, a blank, cold stare. Puppets dance, the strings are tight. Shadows whisper in the dead of night. This is some bullshit. We see through it. This is some bullshit. Can't undo it. Say it loud. We won't quit. This is some bullshit. Paper thin truths that crumble like ash. Golden thrones built on stolen cash. We raise our fists, we break the mold. Your house of cards is getting old. Static comes, the wires ignite. Truth's a bomb, we're ready to fight.